Okay, so picking up where we left off. Okay, so now is actually the import part. So importing images into this. So again, you can actually come down to this part. A sort of interesting thing that Chris has suggested in doing this, and it exists in this workflow. So I'm going to show it to you right now, just so that you see how things go. I'm going to come out. We need you guys to actually make a catalog, though. So let's do that right off the bat. So, because you guys don't have a catalog now, we threw away the catalog that was on your OneDrive, right? So if you would, again, if you've got Lightroom open, just quit Lightroom, please.
I think Chris is right about that.
So do I, actually. That's why it's a part of this. No, that's why it's all a part of this. So with Lightroom closed, hold down. So Vernell, where are you now? What computer is not going to work?
I think it had to do with, because I was on the Madman account.
Right. What's the difference between Madman and Adman?
Oh, I always say weird. I was on that one.
Yeah.
And then I switched to the A&D guest, and that works.
Okay.
So it's just something with that account.
Okay. Okay. Fine. We'll talk about that maybe afterwards, so I can translate that to IT. Okay. Explain to them what we think is happening and see if that's a feature or a problem. Okay. All right, so if you have quit Lightroom, go ahead and quit Lightroom. That's what I actually want you to do. And then again, I'm going to, whether you hover over the icon, if it's in the dock, that's fine, or you find it in your application folder, either one. We need to hold down the Option key first and then click on Lightroom to go ahead and launch it. Keep holding down the Option key, and it will give you it'll give you the, please give me the, it'll give you the option to actually create a new Lightroom catalog. So for the temporary working, what we need to do, let's go ahead and create a temporary Lightroom catalog. And so I'm going to say create a new catalog. A window will open up and it's going to say, what do you want to call it? I'm going to call it toss as well. So just say we're going to throw it away. And for brevity's sake, do me a favor and simply put it in your pictures folder. That's where I want you to actually, well, shit, hang on. Hit cancel out of that, hit quit. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. We should do this right. Do me a favor and go to your pictures folder. I'm going to actually do mine in my toss folder because I've already got the one I want to keep in my pictures folder. But nonetheless, in the pictures folder, if you will, make a new folder for me. So again, up to the file menu, down to new folder, or simply hold down Shift Command N, and it will give you a new folder, and call this Lightroom Library. And say OK to that. Inside that Lightroom library, create another folder. Sorry. And name that Camera Files. Click outside of that so that you still stay in the same level as the Lightroom library. And we are going to, again, Shift Command N to get another new folder. Call this Catalogs. Click finally one more out of that, and again, one last folder, Shift Command N, and call this Exports. And say OK. And everybody got this? Okay, then back to hover over your Lightroom icon, hold down the Option key, click to launch Lightroom. Again, the dialog box will open up allowing you to create a new catalog, and we are going to create a new catalog. And if we go by the naming convention that we were suggesting back here, what you want to name your catalog is this, your uppercase initials _ catalog. So in my case, that would be JVE _ catalog. catalog. And then we need to navigate to that folder that you actually just built. So in your case, it's going to be in the pictures folder in your Lightroom library. In my case, because I'm actually putting it in my TOS folder, it's going to go into that Lightroom library. And then inside the catalog folder is where you want to locate this. So go ahead and say create inside there. Lightroom will go through and do its thing. And your screen should look something like this. And then if you go back into the Finder and you actually go to that catalog folder, so again, in my case, it's in my TOS folder, Lightroom Library, Catalogs. There's a folder inside of there that's called JVE Catalog. And inside that catalog, you should see this group of files. These group of files are actually shown inside our PDF. Inside the PDF, when you actually do this, when you do the setup version of this up at the top, it'll actually ask you to go look at these to make sure that these guys exist. So does everybody have their catalog located right and built? Are we good? Or no, I can help.
I stopped first. I couldn't find my pictures folder.
So again, it's going to be in the same thing. So go to this guy right here. That's it. And go to users. And go to that. And there's your pictures folder. So again, put in a new folder and call it Lightroom Library. Great. And then inside that folder, perfect, do your 3 folders: camera files, catalogs, and exports.
So mine doesn't have a Lightroom settings.
Oh. Interesting. Well, we'll see how it works. There you go, all right? So then after the 3 folders, hold down your Option key and click on Launch Lightroom. And then New Catalog. And then last your initials. Perfect, underscore. Catalog. Dashworks. Catalog. And then we need to find that folder that you just did. So scroll down. So yeah, it's so hard to find shit on here. So
Something with the pizza.
do a search here. Do Lightroom Library as well. There, is that the one that you made? And then in the catalogs, and it's an untitled folder in here. You don't want to put it in like that. We're just going to create it in here, and it'll give it that name. Okay, is everybody else good?
Hey, Versus.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
No.
trying to save the TOS folder.
Oh yeah. So in your TOS folder, we can't find. So it's being saved as TOS.
TOS, right?
Then once you go ahead and say create, we need to create it first because it hasn't been made yet. That's good. It's going to say TOS already. There's a underscore, it looks like, or a forward slash in that TOS. So try it again. Just say create a folder again. And just call it TOS. And then we need to navigate. You've actually got documents here. Click on drop down for documents. We might be able to get to it here and go to your there, and then pictures, and then Lightroom Library, and then inside catalogs. And say create. And you're good to go. Okay, did that work for everybody? Sorry. We're all good? Guys, we're going to soldier through this. I don't know how you feel about this, but I have very good, high confidence we can get this done by 3:30. If you guys can hang with me. If not, you vote me. I'm democratic here. Are we going for the long haul here, or are we coming back on Thursday? So, okay, long haul. Everybody hands up. Okay, first, I feel good about this. Again, if you want to meet again on Thursday for some reason, just let me know. We'll work something out.
Can I let you know?
Yes, you can.
Could we maybe some more advanced?
Whatever you would like, we can work it out. Okay.
Okay, some people are very interested. Yes.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Let's just make sure we figure out a time before we all leave here today, and
I'm going to run. I'm open.
I'll shoot it. Send me an email.
I'm going to send an email.
Send an email. Copy all of us. Is anybody else interested in joining on Thursday? I know.
Possibly, yes.
For print.
Possibly yes. Could you include us in all of that? And we'll figure out a time.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so do me a favor, please. You need to find this catalog in the Finder then. So go to your Finder. We need to find this guy. If you're struggling finding this because everything is so hidden in this, you can simply go up to your search box at the very top and type in exactly the name that you used to build the catalog. So again, in my case, it was JVE_catalog. And say okay, and it should take you to that catalog. It should actually show it to you right here. So I've got mine here. So however you find it, I need you to find it. So again, I'm going to navigate it to a little bit easier way so that it looks correct for you guys. So inside this catalog, you should see a single file that's got this Lightroom logo on it. It's got again the JV catalog.lcat next to it. This guy's important, and the reason this is important is that this is how we're suggesting this is what we're suggesting people use to launch Lightroom, because what's happening now is that people are launching Lightroom and they don't have their hard drive connected, and so it gives them somebody else's catalog. People are importing their files into other people's catalogs that are on common computers. It's just a train wreck. And so to avoid that, if you make an alias of this single file right here and put it on your desktop, that's how we want you to start Lightroom. So to do the alias thing, I wish I could remember how to do this, but I'll look right in my PDF and it will tell me. Open Light, navigate to your alias, see page 7 of this PDF, so it's back on page 7 where we created it. Sorry, I don't remember the keyboard shortcut for making aliases, but say what? Right click on your mouse and make it, which is fine. But anyway, how to do it is back here, so just go there, but I'm going to go with MA and we're actually going to do a right click on my mouse. So again, on this image, on this little guy right here, again, if you have a 2-button mouse or you know how to do a 2-button swipe, go ahead and do that. If you don't know how to do that, hold down your Control key and click on, you'll get a drop-down menu, and you can say right here to make alias, and then drag that alias onto your desktop. And then quit Lightroom. So come up to Lightroom, the thing that we just created, and you can actually quit it now. And it's going to say, do you really want to quit? And I'm going to say, yes, I really want to quit. And then you need to navigate to your desktop and find that JVE catalog. And the reason this works so well is all the trouble that we're having even finding the catalog, we've just eliminated all that. I don't need to find the catalog anymore. I simply double click on this thing right here. It will launch Lightroom for me. It will also load the correct catalog for me. So if they're always starting from that alias, there's no way they can import into the wrong catalog. There's no way that any of this can head south. So again, this is like trying to avoid the problems that inevitably keep coming up, and it's a great one. So another thing, if they had their catalog was on an external hard drive and it wasn't connected and they double clicked on that alias to launch it, they would get a warning dialog that would come up and say, we cannot find the original of this, and that would give them the clue that, oh yeah, I need to plug my external hard drive in here first. So it just avoids a whole host of problems. So at any rate, that's how we're suggesting actually people deal with all of this. So next slide down. Sorry. Yeah, as we keep going down, so if there was a memory card reader that you needed to connect to actually do this, you would go ahead and do that. I've given you what we call a fake memory card reader, and so this is how we're actually going to go about importing images. So again, I'm going to show you both of my screens right now, but I'm actually going to go into Lightroom and do it as well with you. So I'm in, God, I sure hope I'm recording this. Yep. So I'm in Lightroom right now. Sorry. I'm in Lightroom now. If you come up to the File menu and you come down to Import Photos and Videos, you don't want to import from another catalog or import element catalogs or any of that kind of stuff. Import Photos and Videos. It will bring up the Import dialog box, and it's this guy right here. So in the Import dialog box, this becomes, the way this is actually set up, this is how students should always do it. It should always work the same way here. So I want to go through the options that are actually sitting right here, and then we'll set them up. So for you guys, please go ahead and actually enter these options right now, and then I will really quickly get there with you. So first things first is you need to actually make sure that you are in the library module. So here in Lightroom, if we are in the library module. If I canceled out of here, I am in the library module, unless you had done, this is a brand new catalog, so you would have to be there. So I'm going to, the other way to actually do your import photos and videos would also be to click this button right down here at the bottom. It takes you to the exact same place. So back in the PDF. So again, that's all it's being explained right there. Next slide down. So importing your images into the catalog. Now this part gets to be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show you how to go, and I'm going to show you the biggest problem that people normally have in this. So the first thing is that you should see the import window, and we actually do have the import window open. When working in the import, you should always follow the same steps in this order. You always start on the lower left-hand side, you come up to the top, you come across the top, and then back down the right-hand side. You do not want to go in the other direction. So it's always in this direction. It's always the way you want to go. Again, I'm going to go to the next one down. So in the case of where you actually are importing your card, your images from, if you had just inserted a memory card, it will actually show up in here. It will be recognized because that preference was set up in there. But in this case, we don't have a memory card in here, so we need to select the source. So if you click on this drop-down menu to select the source, this will allow you to go to navigate to places around your desktop. Now, Ural's, I think the imitation compact flash card I asked you to copy is on your desktop. So you guys would simply go to the desktop, and it should be sitting right there. In my case, it's in my Pictures folder, so I'm going to go there. Inside the Pictures folder, it's simply a quick way to navigate down here into this long source window. And then I'm going to come down into my long source window, and I'm looking for the thing called Compact Flash Imitation Card Copy. And that's what this one is here. So can you guys find your Compact Flash Imitation? It's the one you copied off of my hard drive. Isn't it on your desktop?
Yep.
Oh, Vernell's, yours is not because you're, oh, you got it? I was going to say because you're on your 5th computer already. Does everybody else find it? Okay, I'm going to simply click on this, and what you'll see is it will populate your window with a series of possible. So this is 4 raw files that are sitting in here. It's actually populated my window. You'll notice that all of these guys are checked, which is an indication that it is going to import all of these. You can be selective about this. So let's say you only wanted to import the first 2. You can uncheck the second 2. You'll see they get dimmed out, and these will not be. This will only import the first 2 right now. If you come back down here to check all, it will load everybody up again. If you say had an import and your compact flash card had 300 photographs on it and you only wanted to import 1, you would uncheck all and then go find the one that you wanted to import and simply click on that. So these are just expedient ways to actually do faster import. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead and click check all on mine to go ahead and do that part. Then again, I'm going to go back to our navigation part right here to go through to our next page and have a conversation about this. This one becomes an important one right here. So this again is the policy that after a lot of debate has been established by the photo department is about how to do this. So we have options, and the options that you've got now. So now I'm in the middle part. Again, I've come up the right side. I'm sorry, up the left side. I'm going across the top right now, and my next move in here is I've got to decide how I want these images dealt with. Do I want to copy them as a DNG? That's what this thing is right here. And what DNG will do is it will leave the original files in their place. It will generate DNGs of them and put those DNGs where I want them to actually be. I don't want to use that. We're not really big on DNG right now. copy, which is the recommended version, and that's why it's highlighted right here, is the reason that what we want to do is, and what copy will do is, it will leave your original files where they are. So if they're on a compact flash card, they stay on the compact flash card, but we make a new copy of those raw files where we choose to put them. And the reason we do that is that as long as that compact flash card does not get erased, it remains as a backup for your raw files. So that's why we're not getting rid of them, overwriting them, doing any of that part. Move will actually move those files off of the compact flash card to where you say to, but again, in that case, they will no longer be on your compact flash card, which is a problem for us. And then add, in this add case right here, it's all we're doing here is that if the files are already in the place that they're supposed to be, which in our case is going to be our camera files folder, then this simply adds the reference to them. They're already in the place that they need to be, so we don't need to copy them, we don't need to move them, we don't need to, because they're already there. But in our case, we are strongly suggesting people don't do that copying shit out in the Finder and use this. What we want to do is actually click on copy. So that's what I'm going to do here. So up here at the top, we are going to click on copy. And you'll see it changes a certain set of options that exist over here on the side over here. And so in the options that exist on the side over here, we need to deal with where these things go. And this is the Achilles heel of this whole system right here. This is the part that causes students more trouble than anything else. And what they end up doing is they don't really pay attention to where this thing is being copied to, and they end up copying their files to places that they can't find anymore. They don't know where they go. Oh man, I copied it over, and it ended up going, the last thing that they were looking at, they were reading their email. So it's buried in some email log folder that's so deep inside their system, they will never find those files there. I don't care what they do, right? Oh man, sorry. So at any rate, this actually matters hugely. So again, I'm referring back because I just want to make sure I don't go off script here. So in this, where they are going to, you want to click on the drop-down menu here to get to, and we are going to select other destination from the drop-down menu. So again, I'm in Lightroom right now. I'm clicking on this drop-down menu right here, and you could see if it was strictly going to my pictures folder or desktop or any of that kind of stuff, it would be easy to find. But in our case, it is going to be other destination, because this is the only thing that allows you to get to the folder that you need to get to. And the folder we are trying to get to for you guys is inside your picture folder, inside your Lightroom folder, inside the camera raw folder. Now again, in my case, mine is actually in my TOS folder, so that's where I'm going to go. So again, inside your Lightroom library, there's your folder that you've said camera files. So the catalog folder that's right here is where our catalog is, but the raw files go into this camera files folder. Can everybody find their camera file folder? Are we going? Guys, you're getting really good at this because you're getting good at this. So anyway, you want to select this camera file folder, and you simply want to say choose. And you'll see that it actually loads it right up here. It's actually telling me where this guy is. It's on my boot drive. If I hover over this long enough, it should tell me that it is in my TOS folder, in my Lightroom library, inside of my camera files folder. And that's exactly what I want. Then we're going to actually take a look again. I'm going to drop back because we're going to go to the next thing down. So there are two options that exist at this point. If you are importing your images for a new assignment, you want to go with option A. If you're importing images for an assignment that already exists, you want to go to B. And all of this has to do with the naming convention that we're actually doing this and the file numbering. So we're going to go through them both. It'll be pretty quick, especially after we get through the first one. So as we go down, this is going to be option A. We are importing images for a brand new assignment. So inside this camera folder where we are right now, this is just where we have navigated to, you actually want to navigate, or we're going to actually go inside of this guy right now. So I need to go out to the Finder to find this. I don't think I can get there from Lightroom, which is something that would really be great if they were allow us to do this. They don't really allow us to do it. This is something you can do in Capture One, but you can't do it here. So we need to actually navigate to that folder. So again, I'm going out to my Finder. I'm finding my Lightroom library catalog. I'm sorry, my library, the Lightroom library folder. Again, mine's on my tools folder. Yours is in your pictures folder. I'm going to go inside the camera files folder, and inside this, I'm going to create a new folder inside camera files. So again, Command Shift N to create a new one, and we're just going to call this assignment 1. And don't fill in the whole thing. Do SSIN_1. That's what we're actually asking people to do their assignments for. If you go back and you look here in the naming convention we've actually asked people to use, you'll see that that assignment folder should really be a little bit more complete name. So let me find out what they are. It's right here, and what we're saying that people should actually do is their assignment folder. So it would be, again, so we should do this. So it's last name underscore 2-digit code for the class underscore assign the assignment whatever in week 1. So that's what we're actually going to do. So I'm going to go again back to my Lightroom guy. This assign 1, I'm going to change it, and what I'm going to change the name to is Engelhard underscore P1 for photo practice 1. If it was P2, it would be photo practice 2 underscore assign ASSIN underscore 01 underscore WK for week 01. And I don't know if there's an underscore between those two, but let me check really quick. Yep, there is an underscore between that. No, I'm sorry, it's just week 1. There is no week 01, which is a mistake in my opinion, but there we go. So I'm going to eliminate that 0 after week. So that's what it should actually look like. So again, back to where we were. Okay, so we have now navigated to the camera folder, and we've created a new folder. We've actually named it exactly what we decided to do here. So this is able to do it inside here. So we need to go ahead and find that folder again, because that's now where we're going to import our files to. So back in Lightroom, click on this same drop-down folder, exactly where we were, other destination. We need to navigate to that specific one. So we're now, instead of just selecting the overall parent camera files, we're selecting the folder for that assignment, and it will now drop all of our raw files into that assignment folder. So go ahead and choose this guy. And again, you see the trail is still going there. It's still going to, in your case, pictures, Lightroom library, camera files into this assignment folder. And don't worry, guys, I know this may seem a little confusing right now, but if you do this enough times, whatever, it just becomes standard procedure, and it's simple to do, and it keeps things organized and not screwed up. So then it says here to move to step 4. If you're already importing files into a folder that already exists, you do what we just did. The folder already exists, so you simply navigate to it using Lightroom. So for instance, you simply would come back up here to navigate again, click Other Destination, and then again, there would be another folder here in this drop-down in your camera files, somewhere in your camera file. There would be the other folder that you had already started importing files to. Does this make sense to everybody? So I didn't lose anybody on that one. I'm sorry, that one was less clear than I was ever hoping that would be. But again, I've got my Lightroom. The one for this assignment, no one, is the one that I definitely want to do it into, and so I'm going to choose that guy. Things get a little easier from here, I promise. Or I say that, and yeah, sure, checks in the mail. Okay, so continuing to go down, these are really important the way we actually set these. And the reason that these are important for us is that for you as instructors, if you start using smart previews, you can actually spot any changes that students have made. So in the past, we've had a problem with this, and it's this. In the past, when students would actually turn in an assignment, you had one of two options. They could either turn in all of their raw files, which is a gigantic thing to turn in, and it's very unfriendly for Canvas because it's a huge file. It's a huge collection of files. Or you could turn in regular previews, which were fine because you could see that they had done the work, but you had no idea if their exposure had been if they'd been 4 stops under exposure and changed it in Lightroom and then sent you the previews, you would never know that their work was 4 stops under exposed because they had fixed it in Lightroom. In smart previews, you can see all the work that they did, but they're really small files. So that's what we're suggesting people do. So we are going to leave preview build as standard, check smart previews, and do not import suspected duplicates. So that's how we're going to set things up in the next panel down. So again, standard preview, do build smart previews, do not import suspected duplicates. We are not going to use this make a second copy to. Again, this is the way that you could do a backup. Now, this is a backup of your raw files right here. However, this is really a hit or miss thing. We are suggesting still that you use OneDrive to be your backup and that you don't deal with it here, because this just gets to be confusing. We are also asking you to avoid adding to collections right now. Collections are something that we are trying to deal with and streamline right now. So we'll get to that in just a second. So I'm going to go back into our workshop right now. I mean, to our workflow right now.
With duplicates, how does it read it? Is it by the file name or the actual image?
It's actually the XMP data. I'm sorry, the metadata of it. It looks at everything. It looks at the file size. It looks at the creation date. It looks at everything, because file names can be the same, and that wouldn't flag it. It actually knows if the images are the same. It's looking at more than just the name, which is a good thing, because again, most students are just using the, in a lot of importing in here, you're just using the camera counter to do it, and you can run into the same name. Once you pass like the 10,000 frame mark, it resets back to 1, and so then you start importing the same shit all over again. Okay, so as we continue to go down here for file renaming, we do want to work with this, because this is now the time to actually get this stuff right. So, again, back into Lightroom, we are going to do file naming, and if you click on this drop-down menu for custom settings, you can come down to edit, and we are going to build a new template. And in this new template, I'm simply going to show you how we're asking you to set it up in here so you guys can do it. So, oh, shit. Okay. Sorry, back to where I was trying to go here. So what we're saying to do is, in the very top, you want to, there's presets in here. There's a series of presets that are already set up that will actually help us out. So in the preset, you want to select the custom name dash sequence in the template menu. I'm going to see if I can find a way to do this all at the same time for me. So yeah, so again, in the drop-down menu right here for custom presets, you want to come down to custom name dash sequence. And then in the drop-down menu, change the sequence to number 001. So what this will do is this gives you a 3-digit frame counter. That's what this is. And again, this is the one that you want to use. You don't want to start with this counter right here, just a number 1. The problem in using a number 1 is that when you do your file naming, it will start to file name and it will name 1 through 11, but or it'll go 1 through 10, but once you get to 11, it sees 11 being closer to 1 than 2. So your files, once you get to 11, will go in order 1, 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it's just a nightmare. So if you do the leading zeros, you avoid all of that problem. So we're going to actually ask you to save that part like that. Robert.
I'm only getting 2 choices on the custom preset dropdown.
On this one up here?
Yep.
You're not getting custom sequence?
Nope. I just have a save current setting as a preset or restore default preset.
That's this stuff right here at the bottom. These are the only ones you get.
Yeah.
Try restoring the default presets.
There you go.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay, so again, custom name sequence. Again, change that drop-down menu to the 2 leading zeros and the one after it, so 3 digits as far as that part goes. If you want to save this as a template right now, you can actually save this thing as a template so that you can simply go to it, and I would again encourage students to do that, because that way they don't have to make this thing again. They can simply go back to the template they want. So to save this template, you want to click on this drop-down menu, and we're going to come down to Save Current Settings as a new preset. And we're going to call this Verser file naming. You could call yours your own name. So it's just a way for them to actually go in and not have to build this again. They always know that they simply want to click on this preset. And now you'll see the preset is sitting right here. So you can actually, if we go to a different preset, like I just went to a brand new one right here, you can always go back to Verser file naming, and everything is set up for the way that you ultimately want this thing to be. And then simply hit done, and you'll notice that it's sitting right here. In the custom text that is entered, we actually need to add the file naming that we're asking people to do. And again, this will start to get to be more habit forming, hopefully, as we go all through this. So again, according to our image naming, what we're asking people to do is, and it'll go right down in here. Let me choke this up a little bit so I can see my version of it. Okay, in the custom text, click on this guy right here. So in the custom text, enter your last name, underscore, your class, again, the 2-digit code. So for us, we were doing P1 underscore assignment. And again, this is assignment 01 underscore, and then week. In our case, it was W1. So that's actually going to name all of our files. And then again, in this case, I want to say, are they giving us a preview on this? Yes, they are giving us a preview, and you can see it sitting right down here under sample. If you hover over sample, it will actually show you how your files are going to be named, and you can see it is Engelhard almost underscore P1. Again, if we hover over it again, you get the P1, assignment 01, and then week 1, and then this is the frame number right here, separated by that little dash, and then the .raw at the end is going to be the raw file extension of your whatever your raw file is, CR2, anything else, whatever. So we're almost through this, guys, and we're getting done here. So I'm going to come back down to PDF workflow. So this is exactly the way you want to do it. You're going to actually then set your starting number at number 1, and you're going to have your extensions left as. So if you ended up importing JPEGs or TIFFs as well, this would actually be fine. So again, back in Lightroom, we are going to say a starting number 1 right here. If you were to click on this number 1, let's say that you had done an import for this assignment today and you wanted to add to it tomorrow, and you already had 54 frames already imported, you would simply set this starting number at 55 and it would continue your sequence right on. So the naming would all be the same and it would just start at 55. However, we're also going to leave this extensions as is. So again, that's maintaining the CR2 part and everything else. We're going to go down to the next part down here for development settings, and the rest of this is going to be pretty boilerplate to get down through this. In the naming convention down here, let me make this a little bit larger. So in the applying during import down here, in the development settings, you want to leave this as none. In your metadata right here, we are going to change this, and I want to make sure that this is written the way I think it is written down in here. In the metadata, we are going to click on edit presets here because we are going to make a copyright file creator here. So again, I'm going to follow this recipe right here and go through it with you guys. So let me set this off to the side and go back into this and drop this off to this. All right, well, I don't know how to do it. So at any rate, click on the meta, drop down here, edit presets here. In the metadata that actually comes up, this is where you can enter your copyright information. You'll see that there's basic information in here, other stuff that we could add, but this is the stuff that we actually care about here is the copyright information. So to add a copyright for this, I'm going to do a copyright for today. If you hold down your Option key and hit the letter G, you will get the copyright logo. And then in this case, you would put your copyright, and I'm going to put my copyright. And I can't ever remember where you do. Do you do year first or name first? It doesn't really matter, but yeah. Well, let's see what it says here in our little dialog guy. So edit presets, Command G, IPC data, whatever. We're going to actually put in, yeah, it's copyright and date first. And okay, so I'll show you what I think should be included in this and where I think things should be avoided. So copyright 2019, sorry, 2019, Verser Engelhard. Now, according to current copyright law, you do not have to set status. However, you're sitting right here, you might as well. Again, anything that would deter a violation of this will actually help. The very same thing for usage. You don't need to type in what the rights are. Most people will type in things like all rights reserved, that kind of stuff. All of this has been rendered moot by the new copyright law, so you don't really have to get into any of that. In terms of creator, you would actually put in your name as the person who actually made the picture. And then this is where I would strongly suggest your students avoid putting in addresses, state, city, any of that kind of stuff. I wouldn't put any of this data in. I would put in my email. Ooh. Website, if you want to add that. Now that would be considered basic. Now there are other things that you could actually put in here. If you scroll down and you can take a look at this, you can title your pictures. You can actually put all sorts of people who show up in the pictures. You can give, it's endless. But for my money, all we need to do is this part right now. This is the only part that I actually want to do. If you click on this custom preset at the very top drop-down menu, you can save this settings again as another preset, which I want to do. So then this preset, I'm going to call this copyright again. Hold down the G key, the Option key, and hit the letter G. We don't get, it won't actually give us, it's an odd character. It won't give us the odd character in there. So I'm simply going to call it 2019 Verser copyright. You can tell RIGHT copyright here and simply say create and then hit done. And you can see now in your drop down metadata that this will always exist. So you never have to make that guy again until 2020. So it's just a simple way to do it. Once students go through this the first time, all of this will exist for them. But this is another thing that goes back to what we set up in our preferences. When we set up in our preferences that we wanted to store our presets with the catalog, all the preset that we just made for our copyright is stored there, and the preset that we just made for the template for our renaming is also saved with the catalog. So when we actually take our hard drive and plug it into another computer, these things will still be available to us. In previous versions of Photoshop that did not Lightroom that did not exist. As we continue on down, you could add keywords at this point, so I'm going to add 2 keywords just so we remember how we did it. I'm going to put in here outdoors, comma, that's what separates these things, and color checker. And one more comma, what can we put in there? Concrete. So that's how you would keyword this thing, is to simply list it like that. As we go down here, and this is the next really hyper important one, this is the place where you can check to make sure that things set up at the very top are correct and not off. So 2 things we need to look at right here. So again, I'm going to go back and show you what we're suggesting in here. So that goes through the whole copyright thing. It goes through the whole keyword thing. This is critical right here. You do not want to check into subfolder. If you do that, it's going to create another folder inside your assignment folder, and it's going to give it the today's date. And you don't want that to actually happen. That will fracture all your assignment files in there. So we do not put this into a subfolder. And then you select this into one folder, not by date, from the organized drop-down menu. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So again, you do not check this into subfolder, and in organize down here in this drop down menu, you do not want to do by original folders date. You want to only do into one folder. And then finally you do a check right down here, and this shows you where your image is going. So in my case, it is in my user folder, which is Verser. It's in my toss folder because I want to get rid of it. Yours should be in your picture folder, inside of your Lightroom library, inside of your camera file folder, into the assignment folder. Is that working for everybody? Perfect. This is the most important check. Have your students constantly check, because for some reason this, and I agree, this looks awfully obscure up here. Where is this really going? I mean, I know if I click to open it up, it shows where, but this gives me the entire tree. So it's just giving you one last option to make sure that it works, and then simply click on import down at the bottom. So when you click on import, it actually goes in a couple of phases. You'll see up here at the very top that it's doing operations. You'll see there's some scales going across here at the top. It's indicating that it's actually doing the import, but this is also building your regular previews, and it's also building your smart previews. And it comes up and says to you, the smart previews were built or exist for 4 photos, and you can say okay to that. And now we're actually, so that is the entire import process. Makes sense to everyone? Okay. We're getting to the end, guys. I swear to God, because part of this at the very end of this is troubleshooting. So I'm going to try, again, I don't want to cheat anybody here, but don't want to keep anybody here longer. So always check the destination, which is what we've gone right here. It will satisfy a whole world of pain that you actually run into. It will actually get rid of this. So, so again, importing your images into a Lightroom catalog, blah, 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 blah. We've actually gone through this. What is this? Oh, I'm sorry, we clicked on import, so we've already gone through this part. You see the things that are actually happening up on the top, that part, fine. So this goes into something that we don't necessarily need to go through today, again, because this really becomes what you're teaching your students. So we're not going to necessarily do this. I'm going to walk through it really quickly. But in doing all of this, to get started in this, what we actually ask people to do is to go through and do a ranking of photographs in here to actually set them. So this is something that I'll just tell you guys really quickly that was odd for me. When I very first started doing this stuff, 1 star was always better than 5 stars because it was like 1 star. That's probably not a good way to do it. But however they do it, whatever. If you're actually in Lightroom, there's a couple of quick shortcuts that you should know. If you click an image like this and you actually click a 1, it will set a single star on that. You can see it's sitting right down at the bottom. If you click a 2, it'll set a 2. If you click a 5, it'll set a 5. That's the max you can go to. If you hit 0, it gets rid of all of your stars, and this is the way basically most people will actually rate stuff. If you look at the bottom, right now we are in the grid view here. It's showing us all of our images. If you want to see them one by one, again, I would select the one at the very top. Click on the bigger image view that I've got going right here. Again, 5-star image, because look at that beautiful guy. And then I use the arrow keys to actually tap through these. So I just use the arrow key on my keyboard to go to the right. And I don't like to close that picture, so I'm going to leave that as a 0. I like this one. It's got a color card in it. I'm going to set it as a 2. It's not as. And so this is basically how you would go through and rate these guys. You can also add color tagging to these guys by sitting right down here and adding. There's these colors right down here. You can actually click on that. I don't know anybody that at least the beginning of the stages goes beyond color tagging. I'm sorry, star rating. So it's just the way that most people deal with it. So again, back to our PDF in all of this. So you're going to go through the library. You're going to navigate through this stuff. You're going to actually do your star ratings. If you look at this, this will actually show you a way to flag photographs or to not. The reason some people will use flagging photographs is, let's say they've got 10 images that have got a 5-star rating and they want to pick their number 1 out of their 5-star ratings. They can actually do that using a flag system, so they don't need to change the 5-star part. In most cases, I would say get up to 4 stars, and then your 5th star, your 5-star rating, is only for the one you want to keep. But just to know that that part exists like that, to actually get to all of those parts, you can see there's flagging is right down here. If you're in the grid mode, it sits right up here. So this is how. So this is a 5-star image, and then I could click on this, and this has also been flagged now. If you click on it again, you actually unflag the photo, and there's another way to throw in another flag, but I don't want to get any more confusing than we already are. So that's basically what's going on in here. So I'm going to continue down through this guy. So again, you would do ranking and keywording at this part. We've already started the keyword on import, but you can continue to do keywording for an image. So for instance, if I select this image again, you'll see that on import, it applied all of those keywords to it. If I select another image, it also applied a keyword to this. So I know this guy. What's this? Do you remember this girl's name? Bailey, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I would put another comma in here. And again, you'll see when I put a comma in here and then do a space, and I would put in Bailey, B-A-I-L-Y. You can continue to keyword after the fact. It doesn't only need to be on import. So that gets us through that part. So again, this is just showing you the difference that I just showed you here between the grid view and the loop view. They're both sitting down at the bottom. This is really, you guys are all familiar working in Lightroom, so this is not really for your benefit. This is just, again, for a student who has never seen this before, it'll actually get them through this. So again, it shows them that how to navigate using the keyboard arrows at the bottom, to use the star rating 1 through 5. Again, the one thing that's in here, 0 removes all the stars. So we've got that part as actually in there. The G key will move you back and forth. These are just keyboard shortcuts to go back and forth. So, and again, you'll see the star ratings are down at the bottom. So as we continue to move through here, if you want to actually sort your keyword ratings, you can actually do that. And it sits up at the very top with your library filter. So it says when you're viewing stuff in the grid view, you want to click on attribute at the very top. So to show you where that is, I'm down here at the bottom. You come up to attribute at the top. And again, at the top right here, attribute, and then you can say click on 5-star. And you'll see, because I only had one 5-star image, it is actually now 5 stars. These are also greater than, so if you again click on 1 star, it will show you the 2-star image and the 5-star image, because this rating right here is showing greater than. If you click on that operator, you can see you can change this. You could say, I only want my rating to show greater than or equal to. I want it greater than, less than or equal to, or only equal. So if I click on only equal, I have no 1-star images. I do have a single 2-star and I've got a single 5-star, but that's what's going on right here. I typically would leave it as the greater than or equal to. As we continue down, this is again exactly what I just explained to you guys right there, and that will go through all of that part. So we're good here. So then once we get through the ranking and keywording part, whatever it says, again, this is basically explaining how to keyword. Pick the 3 dominant elements that are in there. These are suggestions that you could actually choose. People, agriculture, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is how to navigate through. So we're going to repeat all of that. For your 4- and 5-star images, we're suggesting you don't have to individually keyword every image in yours, but you should keyword your 4- and 5-star images, at least on a sort of a basic way of actually doing this. And then for each assignment, it's going to require a different number of files to be actually turned in. For each assignment file, we're suggesting that you go ahead and do flag it. So I'm going to come back into here, into my Lightroom. I'm going to get rid of my keywording up here, or get rid of the attributes up here. If you click on attributes, it goes to none again. And I'm going to actually do 2 frames that are actually have a 5-star rating. So I'm going to go to this second frame and actually just give it a 5-star rating as well. And then I am going to go back to doing my sorting in this. So the sorting in here, again, I'm going to click on attribute. I'm going to say 5-star only, but then I'm going to make the decision that the one image in this that I love the most is not the one of me, but it is the one of Bailey. So I'm going to click on that guy to flag it. So it's a way, again, of narrowing down your choices, because most of you guys want to see, for an assignment, you want to see the top 10 picks. If you don't want to see the top 10 picks, you don't have to do this part. Again, we're going to use Smart Preview, so all this rating system will come in and you will be able to regenerate the rating. So you can see what a student thought with their top 5 picks. You can see, their 5-star picks. You can see what they picked for their 1-star, for the one that they love the most. So it just depends on how you guys want to work. Again, Smart Previews, the advantage of Smart Previews is that you can have students send you their entire shooting, and it's a relatively small file. So that would be what we would suggest you do, because then you're the one, you need them to do the ranking, but you can then go in and say, which ones were they saying were 5-star? What were their 2-star? What were their rejects in there? You get to see the shooting. You also know that they did more than 10 frames, even though the assignment only called for 10 frames. Is this making sense to you guys? Okay, so it's just giving us the best of both worlds here. So in terms of all of this, we can actually come down here and Here, so for each assignment, flag photos here. So you'll assign the flag photos that you actually want to turn on. Flagging photos, select a folder that you created for a given assignment. Filter the folder to show only the 4 or 5-star ratings, and I'll show you what that actually is saying. So this is a way to deal with it all. So under folders, you'll see this is the assignment folder right here. If you had 15 assignments, they would all be sitting right down here, one after another. So people can go back and look at assignments. You can see right in here. In this assignment right here, I've actually got 4 images that are sitting in here. So that's exactly what I would expect, even though because I'm filtering right now, I'm not seeing the other 4. Swear to God, guys, we are almost done. So you again determine which of your photos satisfy the assignment the best. Go ahead and flag those photographs. That's what we're actually asking you to do. I'm not going to get into the you thing. It's simply click on the flag again if you want to undo it. So, if you want to do multiple photos at once, to flag them all at once, whatever, you can select multiple photos. So basically what that means is that in this case, if I'm going to unflag this photo really quick, but if I wanted to flag both of them, I could click on the one of me, hold down the command key and click on the next one and then click on flag, and it will flag both of the photographs. So it's just a quick navigation just a quick way to actually sort those guys. Then as we're going through all of this stuff, whatever, to select the photo and then press the P key. This is just a shortcut for flagging photos, is the P key. You can flag reject photos. This is not required. I don't really want to go down. It's this flag. It's a black flag with an X right there. I don't really suggest you actually use that part, but just in case this happens to a student, this will tell you how to get out of that part. So basically what it's saying is that you can have a photo that's flagged white that's saying I'm flagging this, a photo that's gray, which is meaning it isn't flagged at all, or a photograph or a flag that is actually black with an X through it, which is saying that you want to reject that photograph. Again, I think that's a little extreme. I just don't rank it. I wouldn't give it a star rating. Okay. As we're continuing down through here, the final last thing that we need to do here, and this is to be the last final part here, it's relatively fast, but it's pretty specific in terms of how we do this. So we need them to export a catalog. This is what they're going to turn in via Canvas, and what I'm going to show you here is actually Canvas friendly, so you will be able to get it turned in to Canvas if you actually want to do it that way. So we're going to export a catalog of these photographs. So it says right down here, your instructor may ask you to export a catalog of only the flagged photographs. In my experience, I discourage this, again, exactly for the reasons we were talking about. I want to see the scope of the shooting. I can do the sort in the catalog when I open it. I can do that sort. So if they're sending me everything, I should be able to see all of this. But if you don't want that, if you want to see just the 10 greatest photographs, then we can change that part as well. So again, to export a catalog, you need to have your Lightroom catalog open, which we've already got open. You need to select the appropriate assignment folder, which we've got right now because it's the only folder that we've got. So again, I've got this folder right here. Now this #1 folder selected. I'm going to go back to none in my attributes so that I can see everything. But again, I've got this 4 selected right here. So I've got my folder is actually selected and active right here. Again, back to this. So we are going to activate the library module, which is already activated. We are going to select the grid view, which we already have got going on right now. We are going to switch the filters to off so that you can see all of the images. That's what I just did when I turned attributes to off. So again, when I went up to attributes, and this is now set to none, so all of the filters are off. There's also another filter set right over here. You would simply set this to off as well instead, because this is where you can get the flagged photographs part right here. So I'm going to set that to off. So I'm seeing everything possible for me right now. So we've got all of this part that's actually happening right here. If they only want to see your flagged photographs, again, you would click on that drop-down filter right there to say only flagged, and then those would be the only ones that you would end up exporting. And then here's the trick, and this kind of is an important one right here. You want to select all of these images. So the easiest way to do it is you can hold, if you've got a big ton of images here, sometimes it becomes hard to select the first one, scroll to the bottom and select the last one. So instead, you simply come up to your edit menu down to select all, or you use Command A, which works in every Apple Macintosh program in the world. So you want to select all of your files, and you can see that they're all highlighted right now. This becomes critical for your export because we are going to leverage the fact that you are exporting your selected files. Again, If you had sorted this only by flagged photographs and you did that Command A, it would only select the flagged photographs, and so that would be the only thing that you were getting then. So back in here, almost done. Scroll down to the next screen. So this again is we are going to come in, and this part is really critical here in how you work all of this out. So we're going to come up to the top and we're going to do an export as catalog, and again I'm going to set this down to the side to make sure that we actually get this part right. So up to the edit menu, up to the file menu, down to export. I think export as catalog. I'm pretty sure that's what it reads, but let me make sure. Yep, export as catalog. So again, up to file menu, down to export as catalog. Window will actually come up and it'll actually ask me what I want to call this thing and where I want to name it. So again, the naming convention that we are using right now is going to be the same naming convention that we've used all along, except at the end of it, after you do that whole week number right here, it's going to have this export number. So for me, I'm going to cheat really quickly. I'm going to go out to my Finder. I'm going to find my catalog right here. This is the one this is the camera file folder. I'm simply going to copy this name. So I've just selected it up to, and hit Command C to copy it. It's just a faster way. I always copy this part because then I'm dyslexic, so re-entering these numbers is a challenge for me. So now that I've actually got it already copied, then I simply paste it in. Underscore export. Does this make sense to everybody where we're going with here? Are we good on this part? Now in this case, you don't want to put this in with your camera files. Again, I'm going to click on this drop-down menu, drop down to my Lightroom library, and click on Exports. This is why we built that last folder. So I'm going to click on Export, so this is where it's actually going to go, and then this one is critical right here, and it's this setup right down here at the bottom. What do you include and what don't you include? You uncheck Export Negative Files. This negative files is actually your raw files. If you leave it checked, it will give you all of the original raw files. I have had students, I can't tell you how many times, give me their entire Lightroom library with hundreds of raw. I had a student try to upload a 6 gigabyte folder to Canvas. Yeah. So anyway, you want this unchecked. You do want to include build and include smart previews. They've already been built. This is the thing that's going to give you the ability to view these things with all of their ratings, but without the size. You definitely want to include that. And then for me, I do include the available previews. And then you want to simply click on Export Catalog. And it's going to go through it. Again, you'll see an export that actually happens up at the top. I want to make sure that in this last part right down here, again, uncheck include negative files. This is critical. You don't want those. You do include both of the other guys, whatever, and then you simply click on export. So then before they actually try to turn this in as an assignment, they need to check to see that this worked. To check to see that everything worked, you need to ask them to go to their export folder. They should see 2 files inside, take it back now, 3 files inside of that. And this is what you should be looking for is this. So I'm going to go, again, I'm going to my Lightroom library that's in my TOS folder. I need you guys to go to your Lightroom library in your Pictures folder, go to your export, inside your Lightroom library, go to the Exports folder. Inside the Export folder, you will see the export folder that actually has your name on it, the entire name on it, and you should see these 3 files. If they do not see these 3 files, you know that there's a problem. More importantly, if they see 50 files in there, it means that they exported their raw files to you, and you don't want that to happen. If you see a CR2 file in here, or an NEF file, or an ARW file in here, they have done this wrong. They did not uncheck that export negative files. So again, to show you what it looks like on the screen, so export that guy. So we're going through all of that. Yeah, you guys remember where that part was. Does that make sense? If this did not work correctly, they should pitch this entire folder and they should do it over again. Does that make sense, everyone? We good on that part? Okay, so the last thing, and this is just a trick that I can tell you guys, if you want, now some people, again, this is going to depend, because this is the final, and then we're done here, guys. Thank you for hanging in. I know it's been a really long day. If you want to, once we get our class server back up again, all they need to do to submit their assignments, if they structure it like we had it last semester, all they have to do is drag this export folder, this guy right here. They would simply drag this onto the onto your partition hard drive, your Dropbox. You as an instructor to your Dropbox, and it all will be sitting there, and it will all be in alphabetical order, and you will love this. Does that sort of make sense? If it goes to Canvas and they have to actually upload this to Canvas, we run into a problem. And the problem that we run into Canvas is this. Canvas is not good at uploading folders. As a matter of fact, Canvas will reject a folder. The only way you can submit assignment on Canvas is as a single file. So to circumvent that problem, again, it's the last thing that we'll go through in here. So it says right here, if everything is correct, you do one of the following things, whatever. If you can export your catalog via the Dropbox, that's fine, but that means that we need to actually get the Dropbox, but they need to give you everything. I've also had students do this. They'll come in, and instead of giving me this entire folder right here, they give me this one file. Or they give me this one file. They don't give me everything. They simply won't work. You need all three of these files for this part to actually work. If they are going to do this, if you're submitting a catalog via Canvas, you have to compress this into a single folder first, and this is simply how you do it. You will go into, so I need you guys to all find this export folder that we're actually talking about right here. So it is the export folder that contains those three files that you actually need, and then you come up to the little gear wheel right here and come down and say compress Engelhard P1 dot underscore assignment 1 week 1 export. Compress that into a single file. It has created this single file right now that contains all three of these folders. This is what they would submit on Canvas, and it will take it. When you actually go, I don't know how many of you guys are actually using assignments via Canvas? Anyone? Well, then let's hope they get that server worked out, because otherwise this is going to be a real problem in all of this. But if not, the one advantage, because a lot of people say, oh my God, this just looks so heinous, whatever, that now I'm going to have all these zip files up there. The truth of it is, if you are actually in Canvas, I'm going to show you this last trick because you should just know it. I actually do have everything done. Everything I can have done is actually done in Canvas. So I'm going to go back and show you what it would look like. I don't know if I can get to one of my old courses, but hopefully I can. So this would be, what year are we in? Let's see if I can get this guy right here. This is an assignment right here, a liquefy assignment, and I'll see if it lets me in. It's the fact that this has already been closed out. It may not allow me to do any of this. This actually, sorry, in the assignment part right here, again, it's not going to let me do this. When you click on, it's sitting up here. I think it's actually in speed grader. Sorry guys, I haven't done this in like a month, whatever. It actually, when you bring this up, it gives you an option to download all the assignments, all the files for the assignment. So instead of having to go through these one at a time, you actually download the entire assignment. So everything that has been submitted gets downloaded into one place. You'll have individual files that are actually also named with all the individuals, and then you simply need to double click on the zip file to open it up, and you can grade it, and all the information will be there. So it's not as painful as it actually might sound. Make sense? So then finally, the last thing I want to show you, and it is, I swear to you, the last thing I'm going to show you really quickly. So that's what this whole conversation is about right here. Yeah, we are not creating collections in all of this, so you can avoid this part right here. And then No, we are. I am strongly suggesting people do not use collections. This is the way things used to be done. So we've actually included this, but I think the part that we just went through is actually the cleanest and the simplest part. But this part has actually been added on here for people who want to use collections. Again, I tend to avoid them. So because I've already got this is already sitting in a folder that has actually got the name of the assignment that I want to. So why would I then turn around and build another collection of all of this? So it's just more confusing and more work, and this is already confusing and enough work as it is. And I think that might be it. Yes, at the very end of this, there are keyboard shortcuts that exist at the very end. So if you want to know those. Final thing really quickly, just so that you know how to grade this thing really fastly. If you go back into Lightroom, go ahead and quit Lightroom right now. And instead, it's going to say, do you really want to quit? I'm going to say, yes, I really want to quit. And then you need to go to that export folder. In that export folder, again, not the zip now, but the export folder, you'll see that there's still that little icon, the darker one that's got the LR on it. If you double click that, it will launch this exported catalog into your version of Lightroom, and you will be able to see everything that was actually done inside of it. So you can see these are the smart previews that actually looks like, if we give this time to render, they look exactly the way they're supposed to look. They're sitting on here. They show their stars. If we had developed anything, you will see all of this stuff in here, all the developing that was done to it, all of this. But if you go out and look at the size of this folder, this is the export folder that's right here that I just did. I'm going to see what size it really is. So this thing is just under 9 megabytes. That's the size of it. If I take a look at my raw files alone, the raw files alone in here are over 116 megabytes. So it's less than 1/10 of the size, and it doesn't really grow perceptually more. And that is it. Are there questions? So if there are, you're welcome to get in touch with me. Again, you have all the PDFs for all of this. So are there any questions about anything that we've gone through today that anybody is wondering about? All right, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks for hanging in the extra mile.